Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's show at the beautiful Park Inn by Radisson. So what we have in store for you is something that will pick you up. If you happen to be feeling a little off, we've gone through something heavy as a country lately, and maybe you just feel like your goals are all over the place, you don't know where to start. This show is for you because we're guiding you about how to create boundaries, where to get your motivation from. But before we jump into that conversation, let me tell you about my dawa. Now, I'm sure you recall them from, a couple weeks ago. And if you don't already have them on your phone, seriously, it's 2019, people, get with it. Easy, all you need to do is go to Google Play and download their app, or you can just check out their website, which is usually what I do. I just go to www.mydawa.com. They've got all sorts of things from personal care, baby products, hygiene products, all sorts of things. They also, actually, listen closely, girls, they also have tampons, which I know there's been talk about it not being available. So trust me, you're gonna love that they've got lots in stock. But I just have to remind you that they are there to meet your needs when it comes to convenience and privacy, because sometimes it's a little awkward going into a store and asking for certain things. So they've got you. Now, for our show, my first guest is a man that you might recognize, but I'm just gonna let him do the talking. Here's our very first guest. Ladies and gentlemen, I am pretty certain that you will recognize our guest, Amadou Chico Sissoko, who was here a few months ago. And back then, he told us how his mission is to try and make and create 1 million millionaires. And I was like, sign me up. Where do I need to sign? I'm on that track. And since then, he's been very busy. He came out with a podcast. He released yet another book, which will be available for free online, and we'll give you the links on our social media, so follow. And today, we get to sit and be inspired. I almost just want to hand over the imaginary mic and be like, take it away, and how would you just speak for the next, I don't know how many minutes, and inspire us. Welcome.
Thank you
back.
so much for having me.
Actually.
It's great to be here.
So I guess what we want really for this time with you is to try and get that sense of motivation, that drive that seems so natural to you. But from your story, it's clear that you had your ups and your downs.
Definitely.
But we want to know, how do we make sure that 2019 is different from the other years? How do we make sure that the goals that we set stick throughout the year?
Yeah.
What are your tips on that?
So the one thing I've noticed from all the people that I respect and that I look up to, and people who are making massive impact in their industries or their families or their society, is that they don't just set a yearly goal. They set goals for 100 days, knowing that the year is about 365 days. So it's like they break the year into 3 chunks. Right?
Interesting.
Yeah, and then that 100 days also, they'll break it down into like monthly goals and weekly goals and daily goals, right? Because this is how we as human beings are, is that when you set a goal and it's too far away, unless you have, I don't know, hundreds of people who can do all the details of breaking it down, at some point you get overwhelmed by circumstances.
Yeah.
Because most of the people you work with haven't set goals. So if you want to stick to your goals as a family member or as a team member, you need to set it with a team of people. Actually, yeah, like your best friend, you sit down together and you set the goal for 2019. Like, what are we gonna achieve as individuals?
Okay.
And what are we gonna achieve as friends?
That is genius.
Yeah.
We're like 2 minutes in and I'm already like buzzed. Go on.
Everyone has a WhatsApp group, right?
True.
Of friends with whom you are.
Yeah.
And you hang out, you drink wine, you go out, you talk of family issues and all that.
Right. Gossip.
Yeah. So why is it that you can do that for a whole year, right? But you can't actually get something that is very important to you done over the year? Is because those things distract you from what you need to focus on.
Right.
But because everybody wants to succeed in life, if you bring together a group of people who together, all of you want to like improve yourselves in one aspect and say, okay, this is the goal I set for myself for this year, this is the goal you're setting for yourself. And then you ask yourself, what can make us not keep this goal, right? What can make us stop pursuing this goal? For example, I can die, okay? You have no choice over that.
Right.
There can be a family disease. I can get sick,
Yeah.
I can lose my job.
Right.
So you list down all these things that can happen
Yeah.
that can actually stop you from achieving the goal.
Yeah.
And then you ask yourself, if this really happened already, what would I do? Right? So one, to not get sick, you need to have a healthy lifestyle. Right? So it means that if you have a healthy lifestyle, which keeps you healthy, you can actually reach that goal of increasing your income by 3.
Wow. Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And
To not, if you lose your job, like what would be the contingency plan there?
exactly.
Yeah.
Or what could you do to actually never lose your job? How could you never be fired?
Or create that income, that passive income.
Exactly.
See, my wheels are turning.
Yeah.
You create that passive income so that even if you did lose that job, you are still covered. And
Yeah,
there's
you're
still that
covered.
security.
So it gives you now the opportunity to start thinking, what else can I do with the extra time that I have? Or even think about it from someone who actually loves their job,
Yeah,
right? Someone
yeah.
who loves their job. It's how can I improve by improving my boss's position,
Okay.
I secure my job.
Oh.
Right? Because the
True.
best way
Yeah.
to secure a job is to secure your boss's job. Because everybody has a boss, and a mentor of mine told me that even the Pope has a boss, right?
Yeah.
So if you're employed and you love your job, then how do you make your boss better? How do you make your company better? And by making your company better and your boss better, there's no way you can be fired. And even if you're fired, whichever company you go to, they'll be happy to receive you. You see? So what people do is they just set goals. And then one thing also is you need to set realistic goals, right? I like when, especially people who feel like 2018 was a failure, right? Like you literally feel like, oh, the year didn't go the way I went. It's because sometimes you set too big goals for the year, right?
Oh, I think I might be guilty of that.
Yeah.
Too big goals, but then you haven't broken them down.
You
Is
haven't
that
broken
it?
them down, and they're not realistic.
Okay.
Realistic in the sense of you want to, for example, right now, my team, we have a goal in the next 100 days to help 150,000 people
Yeah.
reach the $1 million mark in their business, right?
Okay.
Now, if I had said that we're trying to target people who haven't started a business, that's not realistic.
Okay.
But we said we want people who are between $500,000 and above.
Yeah.
So let's say if you're between $100,000 to $500,000 already that you did last year,
Yeah.
definitely this year you can be able to double that
Yeah,
number
yeah.
by doing what you did well,
Yeah.
but even innovating your business model.
Yeah.
So as we continue creating these podcasts and creating content that inspires you and educates you on how to better your business, increase your networks, relate with people who are maybe earning more than you, you are at a better position to get there. But where are you? It means that your business is either 5 years old and more.
Right.
But someone who's starting a business today,
Yeah.
in 100 days, in 300 days, is not going to make $1 million.
Right. It's
Unless where you're leaving from,
tricky.
right? Unless where you're leaving from, you're already making $1 million, right? You quit that or you sold that company, and then you're starting off. You already have the networks. You already have the. It's easier for you to do.
Yeah.
But someone who's getting out of university, or
It's
someone
just
it's
tricky.
impossible.
So going back to setting the goals with your friends, what happens if at some point you're like, I don't know if we're aligned, or as you're talking, you start to feel like, wait, you want to hook up with how many guys or girls, or you want to? What happens in a situation where you're sitting down with your team members or your friend, and you think, we're not on the same page?
I love that because that's self-awareness, right? That's self-confidence, right? Knowing that this is something I don't agree with. This doesn't go with my values. This person's goals are not things that I would set for myself, are not things that I want my children to look up to. So you shouldn't be with them. I think the best way to know someone is to draft a vision together, right? And I advise couples, for example, before you get engaged, or set goals for 30 years, right? And set personal goals for 30 years, and then now try to put those two together.
Yeah.
And you'll see if the two cannot blend, it means that
Right.
sooner or later there'll be a conflict.
Okay.
Because someone wants to be president, another one doesn't want to be in the limelight.
Yeah.
Right? And there's no way your husband's gonna be president
And you're hidden
and you're
out.
gonna be,
or
your wife is going to be president, and you're going to be hit.
Yeah.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
Right? And I hope to see more women presidents.
Yeah,
actually.
that would, soon. We're getting there.
Yeah,
We're getting there.
yeah.
Now, what about those moments where you just lack the motivation? And I know you touched on this the last time you were here, but I was wondering if you can give us tips, because the problem is we start off new year, check me out, I am going to show you 2019.
Yeah.
And then at some point, you just lose that momentum and you lose that steam. So one, where does it go?
Okay.
And two, how do you make sure that it is consistent?
Okay. So you should think of motivation like a muscle,
Okay.
right? So I think everyone in our generation today, and anyone who's watching this,
Yeah.
has one day gone to the gym
Yeah.
or did some exercise, right?
Attempted to.
Attempted to.
Yeah.
And they saw a slight physical change in their body, right? Yeah.
Yes.
And some of us, like, you can go to the gym 2-3 days, it's like you've been there for a month, right? Others, they say, well, I haven't seen anything change. But think about it.
That's me. I
Yeah.
haven't seen anything
So
change.
this is what happens. The more you motivate yourself, the more your muscle is strong.
Okay.
So the more you have motivating material around you, right? Things that inspire you, the more you're strong. But the more you have material thoughts, words, phrases that tear you down,
Yeah.
the more you lose your motivation.
Right.
So someone like me, I've intentionally surrounded myself with people who are driven,
Right.
who are like constantly trying to achieve big things. It was intentional because I knew that because I myself wanted to achieve big things, if I was surrounded by people who want to achieve big things,
Right.
it becomes much, much easier. Every single day
Right.
I wake up, I'm high.
Yeah.
But think of when I wasn't there.
Right.
I was with people who were very lazy. They wanted everyone else to work and then they reaped the benefits. I was with people who were always complaining. Like, you know, people are, or, shh. I avoid those people. I avoid those people today. Anyone
Right.
you see in their conversation, there's those that, because everything for them is negative.
Right.
You understand?
Right.
So you
yeah.
need to cut off the negative in your life and just fill your life with positive thoughts, positive things, and positive images.
You know, it's ironic that you say that, because later in the show we are doing a vision board, and we're going to show you guys how to create a vision board, because I think that's one of the ways
Yeah.
that you get to surround yourself with the images that remind you, where am I going? Why am I going there? And going back to what you were saying about the people you surround yourself with, there's a quote that's stuck with me for a long time now, and that is, you are the average of the 5 people that you surround yourself with.
I can even say 2.
Oh,
Because
average
there's
of the
always
2.
2 people who you spend the most time with.
yeah,
And it could be your partner,
Yeah.
your relationship partner, or your business partner.
yeah,
And those people affect your lives in so many ways, you know, and vice versa, right? Vice versa. You can either expand them or shrink them.
right.
Or they could do the same to you.
Right. So now tell me a little bit about your book.
Okay.
Where did it come from, and what was it like putting it together?
So I prayed, 10 years ago, I wanted to write a book. And I wrote a book, which was the compilation of
Right.
my diaries.
Yeah.
And I got rejected by 14 different publishers and all in France. And 10 years later, I really had now a story. Like, I had more experience, I had more skills, so there was something really that, you know, could help people. But I sat down and I thought to myself, a lot of these speakers and trainers and coaches, their business is about themselves, right? They've built their entire business around the individual. And when they die, rarely does it become something that can be sustained,
Right.
because mostly they don't surround themselves with people who are even better than them. They're
Right.
always the star.
Right.
And so I said I didn't want to be that person. Secondly, I always want to do things that will outlive me. So I prayed to God, I said, I want to write a book that will outlive me. Something that will be, that can transform life. That will be in everyone's house like a Bible, right? Or in everyone's phone, just like they have the Bible. But something that will be useful to people. And in the process of writing, the first draft I wrote was so raw that it was for me. And it
Okay.
wasn't from God. That was
Okay.
from me.
Yeah.
And that could not be published because it was just me putting out, me.
Right.
But then I somehow I took that off, because that took me months to write. And then I rewrote something where I said, okay, I have this concept of personal ecosystem where you have the 7 elements of your life. So your personal, relational, physical,
Yes. Yeah.
financial, aspirational, professional. And I said, how can I educate people on these different elements, right? How can I break those elements down by using my own personal stories of how I overcame challenges, that people can now have a roadmap of how to succeed in life.
Which actually sounds like the perfect thing to even start your year with, because again, that's I think where we feel we don't know how to navigate the challenges. We don't know what pillars to even focus on.
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
What's the name of the book? Why don't you tell
The
us?
book is called Start Within to Start Winning.
Yeah.
How to Overcome Past Failures and Win in Life and Business.
Start within
Exactly.
to start winning.
Yeah, innovating yourself from within so
Yeah.
that you can win outside.
Right. Thank you.
My pleasure.
This has been incredible. And what a way to, like, I'm just feeling pumped. And I want to sit down with team members actually on the show, and also
Wonderful.
Yeah, and also with my best friend, and sit
even
down
with
and
your
see
family.
and family
Yeah.
and family
Family is
goals.
very profound.
Yeah,
Very
and
profound.
see how aligned our goals are.
Yes.
But thank you.
My pleasure.
I'm sure you're all as pumped as I am to get writing and to make sure that we have an understanding of what our goals are. Loved what you said. Break it down to 100 days,
and then 50 days.
and yeah, exactly, and work backwards.
Yeah.
But we've got more on the show lined up for you. I did tease that we have a vision board coming up, so you don't want to miss that. We're at the beautiful Park Inn by Radisson, and we'll be back in a moment.